From the beginning, he was a star.
80 yards.
A U.S. College Heisman Trophy winner.
Breaking through. 30.
Who became an NFL legend, a Hall of Famer. Later, a top sports broadcaster.
Nobody does it better than her.
Who also found success in commercials and movies. O.J. Simpson was a beloved American icon who transcended sport and race, only to lose it all.
He and I worked on the football show for NBC for 4 or 5 years.
Bob Costas was broadcasting the 1994 NBA Final when all the networks flipped to that infamous white Bronco chase. Simpson fleeing police amid suspicions. He killed his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. Simpson tried to call Costas from the Bronco.
If in fact you're an innocent man, these things don't add up.
He's been impeached.
The following so-called trial of the century split America, already on edge after the Rodney King verdict, further down racial lines. To many, Simpson's case was all about whether a black man accused of killing 2 white people could get a fair trial.
Race itself, well, of course, it really wasn't mentioned in the trial itself as an issue very much. It was sort of the commentary that surrounded it.
Simpson's dream team of lawyers spent months attacking the evidence, including the alleged murder gloves.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
The jury took just 3 hours.
Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder.
But Simpson's name never really cleared. He was found liable in civil court for the deaths. In 2008, he actually went to prison after a conviction for armed robbery. By then, he had long been a pariah and a target of ridicule.
Oh no, OJ has struck again.
Reaction to Simpson's death, cautious and awkward. Cato Kalin was in the middle of it all. A house guest at the time of the murders, a star witness in the trial. He expressed condolences to the victims' families and Simpson's children.
They lost their father, and that is never easy.
From one of his trial lawyers.
He had a very complicated legacy.
Ron Goldman's father called Simpson's death no great loss. A lawyer for Nicole Brown Simpson's family called him a killer. To the end, O.J. Simpson maintained his innocence, his epic rise and fall, one of the greatest in American history. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Now, back in June of 1994, O.J. Simpson was supposed to turn himself into police to be charged in that double murder, but he didn't show up. And that was the start of that slow-speed Bronco chase. Millions watched it live thanks to pilots and photographers who followed from above. Jeff Mayles was one of them.
At the beginning of the pursuit, I realized, wow, this is important. We have this Bronco in our sights and we can't mess this up. It sort of changed public opinion. It was like all of a sudden, people began to go, hey, wait a minute, maybe he did commit this crime. So there was a change in public opinion that occurred with the slow speed pursuit. And it sort of altered history in that way.
So Paul Hunter is with us now from Washington. Paul, I know you remember that moment well.
Yeah, I was covering it live on CBC News World as it happened that night, Adrienne. And all we were thinking at that moment was, oh, so he did do it. Like he said, because, he's running from the police. What you had was a super celebrity actor-athlete who everyone was then thinking had basically just murdered his wife and her friend. Now in that Bronco, we learned with a gun to his head and police on his tail. And all anyone's then thinking is, what on earth is going on? Is he going to kill himself live on TV? And why are we watching this? But how can we not watch it as crowds gathered on overpasses to cheer him on? And that was before the glove that wouldn't fit and the verdict that turned it all upside down. Never seen anything like it.
It was a trial about 2 murders, right? But for many, it became about something else.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, the verdict was about race in America, period. Too many black Americans had been on the other end of these things, too many times convicted when they were innocent for centuries. Here was someone with overwhelming evidence against him, found not guilty. Equally overwhelming was the history of racial oppression in this country, and the trial reminded America that the U.S. justice system is seen differently depending on the color of your skin. Many believe the jury wanted to send a message on all of that, rightly or wrongly. Did it change anything? The U.S. racial divide is as deep as ever, including in the justice system. Simpson himself was as flawed as they come in terms of making that point, but that trial brought with it an audience, and the jury knew it.
Paul Hunter in Washington, thank you.